Statement delivered by a coalition of youth civil society organizations at a youth press conference on corruption. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, transparency and accountability are the cornerstones of good governance in any society and indispensable in democracy. Democratic governance abhors a governing structure that either isolates the views and demands of the people or that restricts the participation of the people. In the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria therefore places the people as the foundation of sovereignty, where the government derives all its power and authority. The Constitution further provides that the welfare and security of the people is the primary purpose of the government in sections 14, subsection 2, paragraphs A and B respectively. The recent announcement of a presidential pardon granted to the former governor, the Alamesi of Bayelsa State, the former managing director of Bank of the North, Alhaji Shetima Bulama, Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua, former Chief of General Staff, Lieutenant General Ladipo Dia, former Minister of Works, late Major General Abdulkarim Adisa, ex-Major Bello Magaji and Alhaji Mohammed Lima Biyu has raised a lot of controversy, especially with the inclusion of the Alamesi and Alhaji Shetima Bulama. The exercise of the power of pardon by the President is stricto sensu constitutional under sections 175 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, but in this instance can be said to be exercised recklessly and contrary to the spirit of the Constitution. The youth joined voices with millions of Nigerians in condemning the presidential pardon granted, especially to a former public officer, the Alamesi, who was convicted for economic and financial crime while serving as the governor of Bayelsa State, Alhaji Shetima Bulama and ex-Major Bello Magaji. In light of the government's presupposed commitment to anti-corruption fight, this grant of pardon is unacceptable, dishonorable, and insensitive. The timing of the pardon has weakened the anti-corruption crusade of the government, making a mockery of efforts to curb economic and financial crimes in Nigeria. The beauty of the law is that the law is made for man. But where honor and law no longer stand on the same line, where do the people choose? In spite of the government's claim to be fighting corruption, Nigerians are yet to pick out a reasonable number of offenders prosecuted and convicted. While we try to nurse our wounds from the glaring sore, the little hope in the system is eroded with the pardon of an offender whose conviction is seen as a consolation to many Nigerians whose lives have been turned to hell as a right of outright stealing in high places. 2012 was a year of revelation of various levels of corruption, the fuel subsidy scam, and economic crimes that have constantly sought deep into the very soul of the people who painfully live in abject poverty with nothing done to salvage the situation. Although series of financial scams have been exposed in recent times, the slow pace of investigation and prosecution indicates the inability of authorities to deal with corruption. Indeed, there are indications that the Nigerian judicial system could be more porous and lenient towards offenders, especially in corruption and related cases. Furthermore, we live in a country where there is a gradual death of the middle class, as the lower class becomes more accommodating to the poor majority. A country where Nigerians live like beggars by a palace, struggling for the falling crumbs of food. We make a mockery of the whole concept of democracy if citizens invariably view the government as the mighty oppressor wielding state power to suppress the people. Therefore, While the Constitution undergoes the review, we, the people of Nigeria, seek for a constitution that truly promotes good government and the welfare of all persons in Nigeria on the principles of freedom, equality, and justice, and for the purpose of consolidating the unity of the people. Considering that our laws are not infallible, we therefore demand the following. An amendment of Section 175, subsection A, subsection 1, paragraph 8 of the 1999 Constitution as amended to include a proviso excluding the power to grant pardon on persons indicted or convicted of economic and financial crime while acting in official capacity. An amendment to Section 175, subsection 2 of the 1999 Constitution to include the following paragraphs. Paragraph A. The President shall, in consultation with the Council of the State, forward the list of persons who have applied for pardon to the National Judicial Council and National Assembly for confirmation and approval. Paragraph B. The National Judicial Council shall, among other things, determine if the applicant has become remorseful and of good conduct. Paragraph C. Powers of the President to grant pardon shall be exercised on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council and confirmation by the National Assembly. The federal government should reassure Nigerians of its commitment provided under Section 15, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended to abolish all corrupt practices and abuse of power by truly taking actions that reflect this commitment. It should be noted that this is not a battle against an individual, but a rejuvenation of the voices of Nigerian youth as we perform our highest obligations as patriots to fight corruption in all its entirety and to reclaim our fatherland. While we are not ignorant of the powers of the President to grant pardon, we are concerned that the pardon recently granted to the Pre-Alamesia is an indirect endorsement of the looting of public treasury by public officials. We call for restraint in the granting of state pardon in order to prevent corruption and impunity, and also to avoid sending the wrong signals to current office holders and even to the Nigerian youth. For the future, we urge the President to direct its powers of granting pardon instead to persons who are convicted in questionable circumstances, and also to young ex-convicts who have clearly demonstrated their ability to lead crime-free lives and also have the potential to contribute meaningfully to the development of Nigeria. We call on all anti-corruption agencies and all well-meaning Nigerians, especially the youth, not to relent in their advocacy against impunity and endemic corruption. In spite of the recent pardon, the fight against corruption in Nigeria can still be won if we remain committed. We urge youth all over the country to keep watch over use of resources in their communities, to name and shame corrupt public officials, and to utilize social media to mobilize and demand public accountability and transparency. In our commitment to the fight against corruption, we join forces with other civil society organizations to mobilize Nigerians through civil and peaceful public demonstrations to condemn corrupt practices and entrench impunity in the community. We also call on the international community not to relent in supporting the fight against corruption in Nigeria. We demand the imposition of veto ban on corrupt public officials who have siphoned the commonwealth of our country. We also request the international community, especially countries like America, Britain, Russia, Switzerland, France, and the Middle East to withdraw the children of corrupt public officials currently schooling abroad and report them back to Nigeria. The fight against corruption and impunity must not end. Thank you.